Hey there, welcome to Modern Workplace Fire Away Friday, this date of 7/13/2018. My name is Michael Gannotti and I am your host today. And I just want to thank you for joining me. I'll be delivering this solo. We've got some big news, a little bit of a change up in the format, and you'll note there's me in a video here, and there's stuff wrapping around me. But having said that, a couple of logistics before we get started. Real quickly, if you notice below the video, there is a chat box, a Q&A box. There you can go ahead, post your questions if you have any at any time. I'll be monitoring those and taking a look as we go through. Also, if you just want to give a shout out, love to hear from you. We love to know where people are watching from. It's always helpful. It's always fun. And we'll give you a shout out back if you have a company name or something. I'll just say hello to your first name, so I won't say any of personal stuff around companies, etc. But having said all that, let's get ready to get started. Before I do, one last thing. Underneath my name, you'll see my link to linkedin.com/in/Mike, MikeGannotti, Mike Gannotti. If we're not hooked up on LinkedIn, we should be. So go ahead and do that. Having said that, let's get started. I'm going to go through the agenda, and we've got some pretty cool things to announce. Very excited about. So without further ado, I'm going to disappear here. I'm looking down at my control panel. We'll come on over there. And today's agenda. All right, so what are we covering today? First up, we're going to be covering the Modern Workplace Top 3. So instead of doing a ton of news stories, we're going to take the axiom that less is more. We want to provide you a good view as to, a couple of news stories, talk about them a little more in depth, take your questions around those. So we're going to kick off with that. Secondly, modern workplace tips, right? So we're going to go through, and today I have two tips. Typically I only have one, but that'll include a demo. We'll be running through that, and we'll have that up for you to be able to provide some coverage there. Let me get that out of the way. Having said that, next up we have open forum Q&A, and the open forum Q&A will be just what it says. That'll take up at least half the show. That's why we call this Fire Away Friday. We'll take any of your questions. I'll be queuing those up, taking a look, and we'll answer them on the spot. Then finally, wrap up and next session. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into today's Modern Workplace Top 3. Coming in at number 1 in the top 3 of my listings that I'm going to have. Important to note, I'm going to cover 3 today. In the archive, there are many more news stories worthwhile. I'll post those links to those as well. But today's we're kicking off with introducing a free version of Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is one of the fastest growing products in Microsoft history. I mean, it absolutely rocks. People use it for collaboration. It's where I live, do all my work. And what you'll find is that it provides a great meeting place for folks to work. However, it didn't have a freemium version out there for smaller teams, right? So we've released a free version that's out there. It'll support up to 300 people. So this isn't small potatoes, folks, right? You get unlimited chat, messages, and search built in. On top of that, built-in audio and video calling for individuals, the groups, and full team meetups. That absolutely rocks. You're going to get 10 gigabytes of team storage plus an additional 2 gigabytes per person for personal storage. That gets into that personal chat, so you're going to get 2 gigs there for free, and you're going to get 10 for the overall team that you set up. Integrated real-time content creation with Office Online apps, including Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and OneNote. So we're going to give you the base Office components there in Office Online integrated in, and you're going to be able to rock and roll around collaboration with documentation. Also, unlimited app integrations with 140 plus business apps to choose from, including applications like Adobe, Evernote, Trello, many more, right? So there are over 140 apps and growing in the Microsoft Marketplace for Teams. And as those come available, you'll be able to add those freely to that. Finally, the ability to go ahead and communicate and collaborate with anyone inside or outside of your organization. And it's all backed by Microsoft's secure global infrastructure. It's the same infrastructure we're using to deliver it, for our 365 customers, but now folks are going to be able to use this. I think this is awesome, especially for lots of different, if you think about groups, your kid's little league team, choir, whatever the case might be, different groups, you can collaborate, communicate real time and on demand through Teams, and you're going to have that for free. I'm already thinking a group that I work with Haiti Missions Inc. for missions down in Haiti. We're going to be able to now facilitate all of our activities right within there. A lot of stuff out there. I have one last bullet here that I want to quickly highlight, and I said broader usage means an acceleration in application integration by third parties. If you think about, the egg, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, Teams has already got a incredibly healthy wealth of apps that are already available from third party for it. Like we mentioned, over 140 business apps that you can readily integrate into your team. But now that we're rolling out the free version, you would anticipate as many more folks start to use Teams for their collaboration for schools, clubs, etc., that application integration by third parties will only increase at an accelerated pace, right? Folks wanting to get on the ball with that. So I do have a link. I'll post that link in the archive afterwards. You can learn more about the new free version of Microsoft Teams, how you can get started leveraging it for your clubs, etc., via the link below. And again, I'll post that. But that's my number one for the top three. And we're going to go ahead and move along. Next up, modern workplace, top three, number two, and my favorite. This is so awesome. I can't even begin to talk about it. So today we're broadcasting using Skype meeting broadcast, right? It's the last time we're going to do that. We're going to keep broadcasting. The broadcasts, though, are going to improve dramatically, you'll see, in quality, scalability, a much smoother experience, both from a broadcasting standpoint and from an attendee standpoint coming in. But we're going to be leveraging the new live events capability coming to Office 365. So they just announced that. My next one, we're actually going to deliver using this. It rocks. I've been showing this under non-disclosure agreements to a number of customers, very large enterprises, worldwide delivery, who are super excited about this. We're bringing the live capabilities now within Office 365 natively to a number of services. So number one, Stream. Right from Microsoft Stream, you'll be able to say, create a live event and create an event that, again, highly scalable for internal or external audiences. You can also do it right from Teams. So right within Teams, I can go to schedule a meeting and make it a live event for broadcasting. And in that case, it'll leverage the Teams client as the broadcasting service mechanism. So very simple for users who are not technical to set up and implement and roll out. There's also built-in integration right into Yammer. So now you can create those Yam Jams, right? Those events where we can go ahead and do Q&A forums, etc., and have it built right within Yammer and have Yammer conversations and things going on contextually, all built in again as well. So we have this one single service that's now surfacing through all three. It just rocks. It allows us to do a number of different things where we can, deliver not only a video, but we can do mixing of content. We can have sharing desktops. We can leverage other, you know, systems for that. So for example, I have in here talking about event delivery through Teams as well as industry standard software like real-time messaging protocol, right? Or RTMP. With that, that means now I can use systems like something like a TriCast or whatever to natively push it out. Heck, on my machine, I have, oh shoot, what's the heck's the name of this? It is I'm blanking. I don't want to open it. OBS Studio, which is a free RTMP system that lets me do window and window and all kinds of stuff. Not what we're using today. I'm having to use a thing called ManyCam. Not nearly as good, not as fluid, and it can have some hiccups, a lot of system overhead with that. But OBS Studio rocks. You can do all kinds of video, you know, window and window and window and desktop, etc. Push it out. That's what we're going to be doing. But also preset systems, like I mentioned, like TriCast or many other studio systems, will be able to now broadcast directly to live events. Furthermore, it allows for embedding integration into SharePoint or anywhere, right? You can create your own custom web page. You might have a custom web page with different polling and other things that you have, you know, and other embeds that you want to make. You can create your own custom one. But if you have SharePoint, you can drop that right into your corporate. Maybe you're going to have a CEO announcement and you want to drop it into the home page for live streaming. Done. So I'm excited about this. I can't wait to show people more about that. Finally, as it's live video delivery enterprise-wide, we are working again with our content delivery network partners like Hive, Collective, and Ramp so that you can minimize the impact to your network traffic within your organization. If you're concerned, you're worried about things congesting up, not to worry. Our partners, Hive, Collective, and Ramp, any one of those can help you to provide more like a much more analogous to a multicast type scenario within the network, but without the server infrastructure. So this is rocking. We're going to start using it starting our next broadcast right here for Modern Workplace Fire Away Fridays. Again, it'll make a much better experience for you, the viewer. It'll also make a much better broadcasting experience from my end, a much smoother one. It rocks. The public preview is out. You can start playing with it today. I have the link here at Learn More At. Make sure to go check that out. And if you're in the enterprise space, absolutely do so. And if you have questions, engage your Microsoft folks. Heck, if you're one of our customers here in the Northeast for health and life sciences, I would love, let me say this again, I would love, love, love to sit down and talk with you and work through you know, getting this set up and how it's going to work within your organization. Many options, a rocking service, and definitely something that takes what we were doing live broadcasting with Skype meeting broadcast to a whole new level. That was number 2. Moving on to number 3 in our workplace top 3. edX. If you have not heard of edX, well, you should be checking them out. edX is an online consortium that delivers free courseware. You can also get certification for those for a fee, but you can audit any of those courses for free online, many of which are certification prep courses and others, but you can go in there, and Microsoft Teams has now put out Microsoft Team online courses for IT pros, the folks who are going to be managing, working with, delivering Teams to your organization, the power users of it. We're now providing those via edX, so you can get certified, get certification of completion, or you can audit the course. But the course is going to teach you about some of the following. Number 1, enabling your users for Microsoft Teams. How do you set up and get your users enabled so they can start taking advantage? How do you configure Microsoft Teams for your particulars within your organization? How do you configure audio conferencing with Teams? What are some of the best practices around using Teams and more? So be sure to check it out. I have a link here. I get asked all the time about how do we get ready to roll this out to the org? How do we ramp our folks up? What do we do? These are great courses that your folks can audit for free. For a fee, they can also get the certification around that, but you can learn more at the link below. I'll have that available after the broadcast. Which brings us, now that we've finished our top three, and let me quickly check to see if we have any questions. Aha, I do. So what do we have here? I got a couple of questions before we move into our modern workplace tips. The first of which comes to us from Scott in South Carolina. So Scott, hello. So let me see here. We're going to quickly, let me change so you can see me in the window here. So let's transition using my little Minicam. There I am. I have my specs on so I can actually read the questions. So I just pulled up and I see I got a bunch of stuff here. So Scott from South Carolina, and again, hello Scott, asked the following, or says the following: hi, glad you and your team are sharing some SharePoint goodness again. Oh, thank you, Scott. Yeah, we appreciate it. We're going to be doing these every couple of weeks, depending on my schedule. I'd like to hit a 2-week cadence, but thank you for joining us today. We're glad to have you. And let's see. The first of this is, can this be used by college students? So Dean, I'm going to ask you to clarify that when you say can this. I'm going to go out on a limb, but if you can go ahead and post a follow-up, which of the three you're talking about. I'm assuming it's Teams in the beginning, but the short answer is yes, absolutely. But having said that, if a college, so that's a great question. If it is Teams you're talking about, if a college has an Office 365 for education subscription, they can be using it. And in fact, we have templates for managing classroom management through Teams with templates around OneNote for classroom, etc. So there's some great stuff around that. Maybe that's, yeah, okay, so thank you. He responded in regards to Teams. So there is a lot of great stuff built into Teams itself for the educational sector. If, however, your school does not have that, so your students don't have access to Teams, and you have students, for example, that want to play around, and it can be university, it can be elementary, it can be middle school, high school. We have education folks using Teams across the whole education spectrum with Office 365 for education. Having said that, if you have students that want to leverage this themselves, their clubs, etc., it can be used by anybody. Again, if you go to the link, you'll see they can go ahead, how to get started. And, you know, we're just going to need to authenticate them, get a live ID, rock and roll, and it's free. So hope that answers your question. Basically anybody, if you want to use it, if, you know, my wife has a group of women she meets with once a week. If they want to use it for their own group now to share thoughts, notes, message each other, they can rock and roll. Next up, are your top 3 cleared for social media? This comes from Scott again. Scott, the answer is yes. So everything that I talk about here on our top 3 are things that have been publicly announced. So I'm not sharing anything here publicly myself that's not already publicly available. What I'm doing is going through, there is a ton of news every week, week in and week out, day in and day out, for crying out loud, within Office 365, collaboration, modern workplace space. So I kind of call out my top 3, but I'll have many more links, like I said, in the archive. So yes, if you want to share that, you can do so. Next up, I have a quick question. If we do a search in a modern SharePoint online site, will the stream transcript get searched also? So today, those transcripts, the way they work is you can search within them in stream, and we're doing things. there's not necessarily the one-to-one as of yet. They're on the roadmap. There's more around some of this integration. Um, but today you're not seeing that. So that is something many of us dearly want to see sooner rather than later. Stay tuned. Much more news coming about that, so you'll be able to find out. So I think it looks like that is it for our questions for now. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our modern workplace tips. Let me go ahead to my shiny face here so we can just see our slides. And so here we go. So today we're going to be covering the following. I have two very quick demos that we're going to walk through, and I hope they will help you out. The first of which is actually the one I'm most excited about, and talking about integrating online record centers and Microsoft Teams, like a hand in a glove, right? So we're going to kind of walk through, I'll talk through the scenario, set it up, and then we'll show you how easy it is to get started within your own org. Then next, we're going to take a look at something that I've been getting asked about over and over again, and that's Microsoft Staff Hub. And I'm going to show you a quick view, run through Staff Hub. And I'll talk through a couple of scenarios again that I'm getting asked about with many of my large clients, and how it integrates actually with Office 365 groups, which will give you an idea of where this stuff is going. So we're going to take a look at that. And without further ado, let's go ahead. We're going to jump into the demo. So I am going to go ahead and exit my, oops, let's see, come back here. We exited, and we're into our demo. So here we go. I can go ahead, let's dismiss all there. There we go. So here you can see what I have opened up is a record center. So I'm in SharePoint Online, and I've created a record center. Now, if you're not familiar with record centers allow you to create and to post documents as authoritative records, right? And with a record, that means when it's published, it's non-editable. It is a formal record. And oftentimes we see this used for legally binding documents, for things such as HR records, etc. But in a record center, there's a couple of things that we're able to do here. So I'm going to click Documents, and you'll see that here we have document sets. So I've got two that are showing here, are miscellaneous demo records and official Office 365 presentations. If I click on that, you'll see a whole range of documents that are here. I can see, that they've been published, they're available, who they're checked out to. So the checked out status, we can check them in. But the point is, these are official documents, and since these are in document sets, they're all handled. I can, do approval and other things all against the single set and have it apply against all the content here. So it's a great piece for us to use. What am I doing here? Wanted to close that last one. There we go. So I'm back up here to the record center, but if you are not familiar with it, this is where we do typically our high-end records management, again, where we can treat content for approval processes and others within sets of documents and have that apply. We can do metadata against the sets, all kinds of goodies, and then have them be a formal record where they're locked for editing, they're locked in place. You can create new versions, but you are always locking that single version of that. So here's this record center. Now, why is that important? Well, if we're doing authoritative content, let's take the example of projects, project management. You might have a repository of official documentation that all projects need to take advantage of. Now, you could do it in a record center. You could certainly do it just in SharePoint in a document library. Both are equally applicable in this scenario, because now what we want to do is take advantage of them here in our Microsoft Teams. So I set up a team, just a very generic one here, where we can start to take a look at taking advantage of a already existing repository, in this case, a record center. If we look here, I have my Files tab, and in my Files tab, we have what we typically expect in Team. I uploaded a couple of files. I created a folder here for adding files, and certainly this is SharePoint under the hood, but it's part of this Office 365 group that's tied to this team. What I want to do, though, instead of recreating the wheel, instead of copying over documents into here that we need, is I want to pull those in and have them readily available for my team from the central repository. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. So how do we go about doing that? Well, and I'm just pulling up so I can see. Here we go. And I see I have a question before I go any further from Dean. Are there any plans to modernize the look of the Record Center templates? Great question. At this point in time, I don't know of any. However, given that modern web is our direction, I would anticipate at some point you would see something along those lines. So I have no insider knowledge on that. Certainly it's something you could post a user voice. But as you know, they're readily going along, updating many of those looks. But today, it is what it is, right? So we want to pull it, though, into our modern collaboration app. So in order to do that, it's very simple, right? So here I have this. I want to provide access not just to the content that we've uploaded here and we're working on and collaborating and sharing, but I want to integrate my readily available repository or other multiple repositories. How do we do it? It's simple. So here you can see we have Add Cloud Storage. Now, when I select that, it's going to show me the options my organization has made available. There are a number of options that we have available for cloud storage. At Microsoft, they've allowed SharePoint. Having said that, if they turn on, they can also allow Google Docs, they can allow Box, OneDrive. There's a number of repositories that they can make available here. Citrix's file share or ShareFile is another one. But there are a number of them available. It just depends what your IT turns on or off. Here at Microsoft, though, the default one for SharePoint, they've turned on. So to add now something, it's as simple as this. I'm going to go ahead and click SharePoint. When I do so, the first, by default, is going to say relevant sites. This is based upon ones I've already been accessing and using. So you can see I already have some readily available. However, even if I don't see it, it's simple. I simply click use the SharePoint link. So now it wants a URL to a library, right? So we're going to go ahead and come on back to our browser here. And there you can see we're back to our library here. So I want to go and I'm going to do this. Let's go to, just to make sure I get the top level view, we'll click on Documents. There we go. So here's that document library view. I'm going to then copy, come back here, paste. Once I've pasted, I'm going to select the Go button. Right? Notice this is all grayed out right now. When I select Go, it's going to query the site. It's detected this library here. When that's now selected, I get the next button. We're going to select that. Notice it's grayed out again. If there are more than one library available in this particular site, it would enumerate those out. There's only one here, so I'm going to select Documents. Then Next. We're all ready to go. Click Add Folder, and just like that, boom, there's my view directly into the Record Center, right, for those documents. Now, as I mentioned, we can do more than one. So I might have multiple repositories that I might want to make available. I did it here with a Record Center, but that works, it's important to note, for any library. So here I have another library for some documents. It's to a, actually the underlying document library for a Staff Hub site that I've set up. So I'm just going to grab that link, come on back here to Teams. Let's go ahead and add an additional cloud storage. I'm going to select SharePoint. Again, use SharePoint link. We're going to paste that in here, click go. There we go, the HLS demo, click next. It's documents, click next, add the folder, boom. So now you can see I'm readily adding existing repositories. It's simple, it's easy. Let's get away from the copy and paste and upload and blah, blah, blah. It's a great idea to create central repositories of data. Now, the caveat is this. My users of this site need to have access to these, right? So I need to make sure that any repositories I am adding, that not just the person adding them has access, but the people adding them. Our added cloud storage, it's going to do a great and nice, elegant job, right, of handling stuff. I click here, it's going to go in. Notice it's stripped out all the Chrome and does all that. So now I can see, some of the content there. Come on back. I can go into the Record Center. Boom. That's going to grab that view. Now I see those individual folders. I'm going to look at the Office 365 presentations. So it does a great job of pulling all that out, but it's using that URL and query. And so it's not adding permissions to that site. Those permissions have to be there. So that's the one caveat. But having said that, you can readily integrate. You should do that. I'm a big advocate of creating centralized repositories of records and content documentation, and then reuse. This is how you reuse it again. You can come in very simply in your files, add cloud storage, SharePoint, give it the URL, select that library, and bam, that's it. Any questions here on this? It's simple, it's easy, it's going to help you take advantage of things in SharePoint and get a little more use. It says, when should we use additional cloud storage instead of adding a tab? Great question. As you notice, I did adding cloud storage. One of the things, and this is just personal, there's not a right or wrong answer here. So I want to stress that, right? There's not a right or wrong answer. But it has to do with aesthetics and how you want to lay out your team, how best you collaborate. I like including these in here because I may have multiples. And if my users are looking for files, this way it's just one place to go. And we know that conversations and files always appear right here, front and center. Some of the other tabs, as we add them, get moved around. Also, I may add many tabs to the tab piece, right? And I don't want to clutter it all up with individual ones. But having said that, I can come in under Add a Tab, and here's that document library, right? So I can go ahead, connect to it. It's the same piece, but then it adds it as a tab and would give me the look once I'm in there that I have here. So I can do it either way. Personally, I like doing it here by adding cloud storage. It makes it simple and easy for me, and I like that. Others, though, you may prefer to break it out, just like some folks, instead of having an Excel doc here, might add the Excel doc as a tab to the top because they want to highlight that front and center. Really is around preference, how your users work, think, and feel. So that's, that really is something to kind of talk through with your team or think through how you think people would best work with it. But it's no skin off your back if people say, hey, I'd rather have it another way. Well, that's simple. Just come in here. We can go ahead and delete that, remove it, and then we can go in and re-add it as a tab. So however you prefer to work, we want to facilitate it. That's Record Center integration with Teams. Use it, work it, it rocks, it's cool. All right, next up. Staff Hub. If you are not familiar with Microsoft Staff Hub is an application that was originally launched a couple of years ago for small businesses who needed a light agile client mobile on the web so they could, pull stuff up, be able to work with it quickly and easily just via a phone. So for example, and I'm going to quickly show you me and my shining talking face here. So there we go. So here's my Staff Hub app on my phone, as well as it's showing this one that you're seeing wrapped around me right now, right? So we'll go back to full screen. So it was designed to be this light and easy application for, small businesses like a restaurant, etc. They want to schedule frontline workers, be able to, message them, allow them to message things, share files, etc. Launched hugely popular. Enterprises said, look, we have them. I work in health and life sciences, which means I work with hospitals a lot. And hospitals have lots of frontline workers that they need a light app for going ahead, doing shift scheduling, putting in requests to switch shifts, etc. Staff Hub does all that. And it provides that mobile UI for doing it. You can manage it through here, through the web, etc. But what I wanted to talk real quickly about was this aspect. If you look here under files, you'll notice I've uploaded some files here. And it's quick and it's easy. I can just drag and drop file. I can click the plus, and do the typical browse to, right? That's popping up. So I can do browse tos and upload files. But the beauty of this is Staff Hub has been getting overhauled so that it is much more of an enterprise application. We want to be able to do auditing of files, do e-discovery and all that good stuff. Well, in its original inception, that wasn't necessarily there. We didn't have that same back end as our other applications like Microsoft Teams, Planner, and others. That's all changed. So now with these Staff Hubs, you get this files area for your team. And so you can upload them. But what happened was when I created my Staff Hub, if I look at the URL, for example, I'll click this one here. Getting started, right? So we're going to open that. You're going to see a URL, and then I'm going to kind of show you what's under the hood here. So here's this PowerPoint, right? It's opened up, but let's look at the URL. Here it's gone to microsoft.sharepoint.com, and you'll notice it's under my teams, and then here is that Staff Hub area. But wait a minute, this is under teams. What are we built? It set up a group, and with a group under the hood, I get this. Now we abstract your users from this, but think about this as Staff Hub's developing and moving forward. There is a full Office 365 group that has been set up. With that, I get security. I get all kinds of things that we get within that, including this SharePoint site. So here we have, where we can do conversations. It's going to skip out to those, and it's doing just like we do with Teams. It's doing them in Outlook, and I'm going to click back. Come on back to my area before that pops up. There we go. But it also has a library, right? So underneath the hood, you'll see, and we're waiting for that to render. My connection with everything I'm doing today a little slow. So I'm going to go ahead and click Documents, and you'll see the documents, including the hyperlink that I added, right? I had a setup. There's a URL to a article around that. Here's the documents I added. That's what's here, right? This one is one that comes with all of them built in. Welcome to Staff Hub, which is why it does not show here. But having said that, now, since I know under the hood I have all this, if I want to do bulk uploads of files, if I need to do synchronization of those, all that's there. Flow, if I need to set up workflow, it's all built in. So there is a wealth of opportunity underneath the hood as we are moving forward with Staff Hub. We've welcomed it into the Office 365 family. Lots of interest. I had 2 meetings just today with large enterprise clients about Staff Hub and the use of it. Very excited, wanting to use it for their frontline workers. And it rocks. I encourage you to take a look at it. I'll provide links to some of the information about Staff Hub to help you get started. But under the hood, like I said, we now have groups and all the goodness that comes with that. So be on the lookout for more news. You're going to hear a lot more about. There's a lot of things. I just went through the futures deck under NDA, non-disclosure agreement, with a client today. If you want to know more, please contact us. Microsoft, and we can deliver that futures. This application, Staff Hub, is in the near-term future going to see some crazy forward development and integration into other apps, and it's really getting built up very quickly. So that team is absolutely doing some rocking work, but today it absolutely rocks, makes it easy to set up schedules, etc. In fact, we can go ahead. Let's just, for the sake of things, come in here and let's add a shift to me, and we'll say it's for what date? Saturday. There we go. So we can go ahead and start to very quickly add people and content. Notice when I did that, I haven't moved it over yet, but there it is. This popped up. I did it to an individual from my phone. It's got to be approved, and etc. But here's my central. So that I did that from my phone, added it, and it automatically popped. Great app. If you want to start integrating this into your teams today, again, it's simple. Just come on up here, grab the URL, copy, and click Add a Tab. And for today, I can quickly and easily just come in with the website view. And I'll just say this is my Staff Hub. This is the same name. Give it a URL. V. Save. Dun, 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 dun. And there we go. So here's all that. It's going to authenticate my first time through. So we're doing a pass through to Staff Hub. And there we go. So not as elegant as the SharePoint one, certainly, but it's highly functional. And now I can have a view into my frontline workers, scheduling and all that. Again, because Teams is the place where I get work done. So if I deal with frontline workers, readily integrate that in as well. So I'm going to stop right there, and I'm going to take a peek, see if we have any questions. And we do. Wow. All right, I got a whole bunch of questions here. First of all, and so let's go ahead and also change the view. We will bring it back to my shiny face here. And questions. And I'll start with the oldest one. When should we use, oh, I already did that one. Okay. Does Flow have any special functionality for working with record centers? Think about this. What's a record center? It's a SharePoint doc library that does locking, and it has a little different UI preset with, it's just a list, right? But we've customized the template with some of the stuff pre-done so that we're doing set document sets. We have some things and rules set up around locking. Flow is Flow. Flow works the same. It's just working with a list/library. So not anything necessarily specific. There may be some out there today, templates that people have already pre-created and published. Take a look, right? So that's constantly growing, but it treats it just like any other list or library. So you can certainly integrate that in. One of the things, though, that if you think about a ready scenario is you may set up a flow so that if people are working in a collaborative area on publish, move record to the record center, right? Where now it's available and locked down. So, and you could do a copy to or a move to, no resident left. You know, you can certainly do that manually, but you could set it up and automate it with Flow. Next up, does Staff Hub integrate with other systems for payroll, etc.? Glad you asked. So I just saw in the futures it said released. There's now integration and hookup to Kronos. There's other ones coming, and I forget what. I'd have to take a look at. I'll just say this. The short answer is yes. The longer answer is reach out to Microsoft if you're a Northeast customer. Love to talk to you. Love to work with you. If you're in health and life sciences in the Northeast, we can talk about it. But any of your Microsoft reps can. And certainly they can talk to you under NDA about the ones that are coming down the pike. But the short answer is yes. You do have integration with other systems, and that is rapidly expanding. Again, think about what it's for, right? Staff Hub. So having that at an enterprise scale, integrate with a lot of these other large apps that customers use is our direction. Does all of staff belong to the same group? Not necessarily, no. So you can set up many groups. So for example, while you're still looking at my little bright shiny face, I can come in here, I can say, hey, I want to add a group, and I can create different groups. Right now I'm automatically added because I created the group. And then once we create that different group, here we go, let's go ahead and add people. And so actually I'm not automatically, so let's add me, Mike Gannotti. So I'm going to add myself. Save. I can enter that, give it a name, and then I can just start adding people to that group. So we can add, and it'll do Active Directory lookup. So let's say there's somebody who's not a member of our group. Let me think of somebody I'm going to pick on today who is not in there. I'm going to pick on my old buddy from the MTC, Todd First, because he's never last. He's always first. There he is. So I can add Todd First just like that. I'm not going to do that. He's going to get an invite. But notice how I can do an Active Directory lookup. It's great for going ahead and doing lookups to pull in, you know, individuals or groups and add those. So that's there. So staff, you know, when we create these groups, and you got to love the names, there's Office 365 groups, and then there's groups within a, you know, a Staff Hub team where we might have multiple groupings, right? If you think about, again, let's talk about a hospital. So I might have nurses, I might have cleaning staff, I might have technician staff and other groupings of workers. I might have the radiology lab workers, right? And I want to schedule those radiology folks. Or I might have floor one of our maternity wing nurses, etc. Those could be groups here in my Staff Hub that I'm managing, and create those groups and manage their schedules and do all that through there. And as they get added, then it show up in their mobile app, right? So that's all things that we can do. So Staff Hub, it rocks, it works, it's great. With that, let's go ahead and kick into our final segment, and that is our open Q&A forum. So any questions of any kind, now's the time. You can ask. It can be about anything we've talked about, any announcements you've heard, anything else. And for that, I'm going to pull up our Q&A panel. We'll get that queued up here. And now is the time. You know, we've had a lot of questions asked, a lot of interaction. I love it. But we've got, you know, another 10 minutes that we can go here. If I don't get questions, I'll just tee some stuff up. But now's the time to ask me about anything collaboration for Microsoft. Or if you just want to give a shout out, we'll handle those as well. But it's open forum for the next 10 minutes, taking your questions here. So we got about a 30-second delay from that. What do you have questions about? It can be around Teams, SharePoint. Which license SKUs include Staff Hub? That, my man, is a great question. So let's do a lookup. So I'm going to do let's do a lookup. Microsoft Staff Hub, and we'll make sure to include what I find out here. So for that, I'm going to go to Staff Hub. Or is this taking me into the application? That's taking me into the application. So that's not what I want to do there. Let's go to what is it? Pulling up a couple of different articles. And let's see, we're pleased to announce a new application for Office 365. Managers create the app, share information, connect. Here we go. So this is what it says. Gotta love how we just find stuff on the fly. So it says Microsoft Staff Hub is enabled for Office 365 customers with a K1, E1, E3, or E5 plan. Team managers can sign in to staffhub.ms and employees can download the app on iOS or Android. It is important to note, however, that your folks need to turn it on if you have it. So a full range of folks can get that. Hope that helps answer that. It says, did you cover free teams? And can you talk about the differences between free and Office 365? And this comes from Heather. Hey, Heather, how you doing? Long time no talk or see. All right. So can we talk about the differences between 3 and 365? So yes, we can. So real quickly, on the Teams end, free teams. So I did talk about that briefly. In fact, let's do this. I'm going to come out and let's go back with our slides to here. So this kind of highlight the differences, right? So if you're familiar with Office 365, one, it includes a couple of things. Number one, the personal chat functionality that's built within there. If you do attachments, takes advantage of your OneDrive for Business, unlimited storage in that, right? That's a huge difference. Also, Teams now in Office 365 can have up to, I believe it's 2,400 people, and that's going up. Today, the free version gives you access for 300 people. We do give you unlimited chat, messages, and search. You get that, but it's important to note again those individual chats. So here it says 2 GB per person for personal storage. That means when you add in a personal chat an attachment, it's going to get stored in your personal storage. You're capped at 2 GB for the free. In Office 365 for business, you know, the E3, E5, that's unlimited. The team file storage is another area, right? So in the Office 365 version, when you look at you know, your E3, E5 plans, you have a tenant storage. Well, your team takes advantage of tenant storage when it sets up that SharePoint underpinnings as a part of the group. So that means, you know, you do the math for your organization and it's you get, oh shoot, is it 1 or 10? A terabyte free plus 10 gigabytes per person. We just upped that. It used to be 500 megabytes per person. You do the math. So org, for example, without buying any extra storage, an org of 100,000 gets more than a petabyte of tenant storage. That's what you're taking advantage of here with 365. With the free version, you're getting 10 gigabytes. Now, it's still a lot if you think about what we're doing with the Office web apps. The next thing also with Teams in 365 versus the free version, Office. So with Office 365 E3, E5, you get the rich apps. You get the full-blown versions of Office for the desktop. Here you get the Office online versions of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and OneNote. So that's really the biggest deltas there between the two. Certainly we're not giving you calling plans. You can also, if you have a calling plan, if you had that for Skype online, that transfers over into Teams. So now you can use Teams as your call center, your phone, etc., for calling other people's cells, etc. You don't get that with the free version. So I hope that helps explain that. If you have other questions, Heather, around that, I'm going to start on the next one, but don't hesitate to post those. This will be posted in the archive, though, after the fact. So, be sure to take a look at that. And we're going to go ahead and skip back to our open Q&A forum. And I have a question from Mike. Not me, Mike. Another Mike. It says, I'm from a very large organization. Do you have training or collateral to help educate the org on these really powerful tools? How can I speed up adoption? Oh, Mike, I'm so glad you asked. Yes, we do. So we have a ton of stuff online that's available to you. So actually, I'm going to show you a couple of things. Let's go ahead. I'm going to skip out of this and let's minimize this Teams here. And let's go ahead and we'll look at Office 365 training. Am I typing that right? So if we come out here, there is in LinkedIn, there's a whole section for Office 365 that's available there as well. If you go to the office, though, support.office.com, it's called the Office 365 Training Center. I'm going to click that. And it's great. It's got all kinds of stuff across all of the applications and services. They also have start with six simple steps. But then they break it out by different areas of training that are available for IT and admins, small business, quick starts for your users across all the different ones. There is a LinkedIn Learning, which is a paid service, but you can get a free trial. Then we go through examples of how people do work. That's available to you today. Having said that, let's see. Did I keep a link? There is a link, and I'm going to quickly look here. It's on. I have it bookmarked. This is it. So we announced this so I can show it to you. There is a sign up page. I'll put the link to this so you can get it, but it's called the Office 365 training site. We're going to be rolling this out as a ready done site that your admins can just click, turn it on. They can then customize it. It comes pre-populated. Like here we go. If I say, get out of there, dismiss. Yeah, I know it's post. So for example, if I want to go to quick start ones, or I can say my modern workplace. Hey, I want to see things around Office 365 basics, for example. Your IT can select or deselect. We have a whole range of content. We host it in Azure, and then your admins have an a la carte menu to go click, 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 and bloop, it'll populate these areas. Then we update that content regularly, and they can continue to update yours. They can supplement it with information that they want that you might custom make using something like PowerPoint recording or Camtasia. But we're providing across all kinds of stuff. So here's an intro to Office. What is Office 365? Well, I don't know what it is. So let's go ahead and click. What is Office 365? So that's going to take me then in here. It's going to show me information about it. I get a series of videos actually that are going to train me with verbiage around those. So all that we're going to provide for you, ready, done. It also will track your users. It's kind of an LMS light that we're making available. And that our users, we know, want to implement, or our admins and training folks want to implement, and then they can use it and also supplement it with your own custom information. So I hope that helps with that question. So that helps with some of that. We also, though, do have other collateral to speed up adoption. That was the second half of your question there. And so we do have a wealth of things. If you go to the Microsoft Fast Track, so I'm going to type this in. You have to be an Office 365 user, but let's go in and say Microsoft. No, not Flipgrid. We'll talk about that another day. Microsoft 365 Fast Track. There we go. Boom. So Fast Track, Microsoft Fast Track. Let's click on that. So adopt Office 365 with Fast Track. It has services and collateral and content for your organization to use. That includes both services that come with a part of your subscription Office 365, like helping you to roll out OneDrive, migration of SharePoint content, migration of Exchange accounts, etc. They'll help you with all that stuff, but there's also a wealth of collateral like pre-done newsletters, posters, printables, different content to help you with that adoption. So that's there. Finally, the last part, again, talk to your Microsoft reps. We would love to sit down with you, go through use cases, best practices that we've done. I do this with clients all the time, where we'll do a 2/3 of a day, kind of roll through. Here's all the stuff that's available. What would you like to roll out? Todd first is pinging me. So I'm getting a whole thing with Teams right now, the little pop-up, just like you used to get with Skype, because he saw I added him. So he's talking about being added to scheduler. So at any rate, if you want to know how to do that, you want to work with us, please contact your Microsoft rep, and we would love to help you out. But I'll put links to all these into our next thing. So I don't see any additional questions. So I'm going to go ahead here and move me back out of talking head mode. There we go. And wrap up. So a couple of things. Number one, thanks for joining. We love having you with these sessions. Let me know. Connect with me online. You can connect with me. You can see down below at linkedin.com/ian/Mike Gannotti. If you have requests for content coverage, tips, tricks, things you'd like to see me do, how I can improve the show, that's where you can connect with me. Love to work with you there. Also, you'll notice a new blog. This is where I'll be posting announcements, the archives, etc. So after today's broadcast, I will take the recording, I'll post it, and then with all the links, etc., it will be located at the Modern Workplace in HLS website. You can find that by going to blogs.msdn.microsoft.com/healthblog. That's blogs.msdn.microsoft.com/healthblog. We have a blog there. I appropriated a abandoned health blog from a couple of years ago, and we've hijacked it. It's now ours, and that's where we'll be posting upcoming events, tips and tricks, videos, all kinds of stuff. We're just getting started. So take a look. That's where I'll have today's archive hosted. Our next session. So I know we're 4 minutes over, but our next session will be August 3rd. I actually 2 weeks out have a all-day scheduled engagement at an MTC, so I can't do that. But like I said, we're going to be starting to shoot for every 2 weeks, but August 3rd is the next session, and that one we're going to use the new live events from stream to broadcast. I am so excited, much better experience on both ends. Like I said, we'll post the archive from today. I'll post it, yes, to LinkedIn along with a PDF version of the slides. But again, the place to really look for it, I forgot to update that from the last set of slides, where you really need to go and start going, mark this in your favorites, start following us, is the health blog. Also, I have links to, we have set up a Facebook page to go along with that. We have a Twitter handle, and we have a YouTube channel. The more, if you follow on the YouTube, have your colleagues follow. We're going to be posting lots of modern workplace tips videos up there, short 5-minute how-to videos and other things. And again, if you have requests for any stuff for content coverage, contact me, linkedin.com/in/Mike Gannotti. With that, this has been Mike Gannotti from Modern Workplace Fire Away Friday. Thank you for joining. As always, we really appreciate you taking time out of your day. What is the link to the new training site info? I got that posted while we were doing this. It will be in the archive at the blogs.msdn site, the health blog. It will be embedded there. So I want to thank you. Thank you for joining us today. With that, this is Mike Gannotti from Modern Workplace saying have a great day. Have a great weekend. Thank you and ciao.